but only distantly. Her hearing was gone. Everything was happening in some strange, detached, dreamlike state. Shrapnel sprayed. She felt a sting, distant pain in her arm, and then she was on the beach, lying on the sand, staring half-wittedly at a shell, her vision cutting in and out like a faulty light switch. She could hear her own heart, that was all, beating very fast. The shell was ridged, pink, beautiful, a marvel of nature. Her brain felt scrambled. There were other things in the sand too, she could see that. Things charred and blackened, and she didn't want to look at any of that, so she kept looking at the shell. She would not look at the black things. The sand was soft, and her ears felt sticky. She felt more than tired, exhausted, ready to sleep. But someone was touching her shoulder. Someone was turning her onto her back on the sand. She looked up at a million bright stars with blank wonder. Then a face loomed over her, blocking out the stars. It was Alberto, Constantine's 24-year-old son, her stepson. She loved Alberto. He was a total delight. Unlike Luco, unlike Cara, Constantine's other children. Now Alberto's face was twisted in anguish. There were smears of soot on his chin. He was touching her cheek, checking that she was breathing. He was mouthing words, but she couldn't hear them. "Are you all right?" She could read his lips. All right? She didn't know. She was alive, wasn't she? Her ears were hurting now really badly. She hoped it would pass. Everything did in the end. Soon she might even be reconnected to reality. A spasm of fear shot through her at the thought of that. She started to tremble. She turned her head. The black things. She screwed up her eyes, wished that she'd been blinded as well as deafened. She knew what the black things were. One of them was a hand, charred so badly it looked like a mummified claw, propped up in the sand not a meter from her head. There was a ring on one of the bent, scorched fingers. The gold was tarnished. The diamond stars studding it were hidden beneath blackness. Somewhere inside her, she felt a scream building, but she hadn't the strength to release it. Chapter 1. 2 months earlier. "Hey, I'm home," Annie called out as she passed the guard on the door and hurried into the penthouse apartment on 5th Avenue with its spectacular views over the treetops of Central Park. New York in June was stifling, hotter than the mouth of hell. But they had lingered. Constantine was doing business. Among other things, he had bought a lease on a building in Times Square that by next September would be transformed into a new Annie's nightclub. Annie herself had just been killing time until today, when she'd consulted her gynecologist. Nico, Constantine's most loyal and long-standing foot soldier, was sitting on one of the huge couches flicking through the New York Times. "Hi, Nico," she said.
"Hey, you see this? They say the Supreme Court's gonna clear Muhammad Ali of trying to dodge the draft. You know, Nixon's right. We gotta come out of Vietnam."
Nico's voice was deep, thunderous. It seemed to come from somewhere down in his boots. She glanced over his shoulder at the headlines. It constantly amazed Annie how fascinated and involved with politics the Americans were. None of her English pals gave a stuff about it, and neither did she. But even she could see that Vietnam was a mess, and one that would have to be resolved soon. She nodded in the direction of the study. The apartment was massive and old colonial in its style of decor. It was one of only 2 apartments on this floor, with full-service, white-gloved doorman, concierge and elevator operator. "Is he free?" she asked.
"For you?"
Nico rose.